Well, welcome everybody to another edition of Tuning In with Tony. And in this episode, Spirit wants to talk a little bit about creating portals. We hear it all the time where someone says, "Well, what is a portal?" Because we hear it where it's like a tunnel. It's like something from a different reality comes into our reality, or a different dimension coming into our reality. And what's that about? And how are portals created? Is it something that just happens? Sometimes we'll hear of a story where somebody wakes up in the middle of the night, and at the foot of their bed is their grandmother trying to give them some insight. She passed away like 10 years ago, and they're in absolute wonderment. Well, what is going on? And is this a dream, or am I still dreaming? And that is basically what portals do when something happens where it doesn't happen to everybody. It's specific people that spirit chooses, but certain items come in where a person needs to get a message, like they have no intention of going to a person like myself or someone who's more spiritually minded, or and every attempt to try and connect to this person fails, even in their dreams, because spirit has access to coming into your dreams and giving you messages and so on. But if all that sort of doesn't work and this message still has to come through, sometimes they will chance coming in and just giving you the message directly. And so I hear a lot about that sometimes where people said, "Oh, I saw my uncle. He had passed away like 4 or 5 years ago and gave me this message. Is that true that I just dreamed that?" And I said, "Well, has that ever happened before?" And they said, "Never." Okay, well, it wasn't a dream. It came through your dreams. That was the portal that spirit came through because you were in a very relaxed state. Chances are it happened between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. That's the thinnest veil that we have in our reality to spirit. That's the thinnest veil in that, because all the lights are turned off. Everything is in its skeleton mode. The veil is very thin. There's very little EMFs. We don't have the computer, TV, and the radio on all the time. We are not in a heightened state. That's the beta frequency that our brain is on. We're more in alpha or maybe even theta if we go into a deep state of sleep, that REM sleep that we hear about. And sometimes it's even deeper where we go into a delta when that just knocks you right out. It's really deep. But most of us are in that theta alpha state. So when we get up, we are in that beautiful alpha state. And while I'm on the subject, while we're talking about this, and you want a different portal in the morning, how often does it happen to you that when you wake up in the morning, you have all these ideas, these great ideas? Oh yeah, I gotta remember to do this and then that and so many things. And it's like a checklist, or it's like a just messages are coming through. Oh, I dreaming about a certain person, or dreaming about an event that you've never thought of like years ago. And then later in the day, either a show comes on and you see that person, or you meet that person, or all of a sudden you're invited to go to the same event that you were dreaming about. It's like, oh, that's interesting. When that happens, in the first 5 minutes that you're awake, the first 5 minutes, you're still in alpha state. So, what Spirit is suggesting is do not look at your phone for the first 10 minutes or 5 minutes of the day. Because as soon as you see your phone, your eyes see the light, but it's artificial. It's not sunlight, and your eyes know that, right? So, you're seeing your phone, you're seeing the light, but it's artificial light, and you snap out of that alpha state into beta. So, what they're suggesting is don't look at your phone for the first at least 5 minutes when you wake up, and then just do whatever your morning routine is, shower, whatever, and things will just start coming to you. That's where I get a lot of my insight, right in the morning. And don't try not to look at the light, or like lights over your mirror or any of your lights, because again, that's artificial light. Because in sunlight there are, a whole host of other things other than vitamin D. There's many energetic um, ingredients in sunlight that we can't even comprehend, and it's way beyond what scientists can even measure. Even now, any articles that was published even a few years ago about sunlight and what it does is already being revised. In other words, it's always at a date. It's always old. But the sun doesn't change. It's the same light. It's just that now with technology and the different ways we could measure certain things, it can now measure ultraviolet light. It can now measure many, many other things. And there's hundreds upon hundreds of nutrients, energetic nutrients that the sun gives us. And we're just measuring that. So to get into this portal, stay in this alpha state for as long as you can in the morning. And that will sort of revise, okay, what do I need to do? And it's almost like you're talking to another person, especially when the first few times you do it, your partner or whoever that might be listening, they're saying, is everything okay? You feel like you're talking to somebody. So don't worry about that. It's just make it so that you're almost talking to yourself. Like, what do I need to do today? What is the highest thing I need to accomplish for today? And then just wait. It's almost like you're listening. And that's when you'll more likely get something. Oh, yeah, right. I need to connect to this person. And I don't know why I've been told or I'm getting an inkling to talk to somebody, but I keep putting it off, right? So that's the thing. But one of the first portals that we get in life is birth. That portal, that tunnel, the birthing canal is the very first experience in our physical form that we see as a portal. We see many of these portals on the other side when we are in non physical. When we look down, we usually will come to our loved ones from another life and we'll see how they're doing. And we'll say, okay, now's a good time to come into this life. And so there's a portal for them to come down and to be able to become part of this world through that conception and so on. But in physical form, it's the birthing canal is our very first thing. And that was created out of love. That portal is created from love. You can create portals in many ways, as long as it's strong enough, long as it's got that beautiful light. There's that essence in whatever you're doing. You can create a portal. Now, Spirit wants you to realize that it's not actually you that's creating this portal. You're not actually doing it. The emotion that you choose to carry, that emotion of love or excitement, happiness, anticipation, things are going to happen. I'm going to have a great year, that kind of emotion. It's that emotion that creates the portal. So it's almost like it's a catalyst, but the emotion is what you have full control over. You can decide to have a lousy day, or you could decide that, you know what, no matter what happens today, I'm going to have an amazing day. I might have had a not so good day yesterday. And how does that change today? Well, today is going to be a good day. Your days are not a rubber stamp. Just because your yesterday and your last week, last month, last year, and so on might not have been that great, but you know what? Maybe today will be different. Maybe today will be something else. And in that changed emotion creates a portal of some kind. Now, it may be a small one. It might be not this huge one that we sometimes hear about, but it does have uh, the possibility to create an amazing portal, something that could actually happen to us. So when we are in that state where we're always, let's say, in fear, or we're ashamed of something, or we're angry about something, we always end up in this lesser light, and that's what we call darkness. There is no such thing as darkness. It's basically a lack of light, is what's the way Spirit calls it. Either there's light or there is no light. That is it. Those are the two things. It's only one thing, but it's at different intensities. When you have a high intensity of light, and you feel good, it's like the weather. When you have a low intensity or a low pressure, it's still low pressure, but it's more raining and windy, and the weather isn't as optimal. There is no such thing as a weather of constant raining unless you're, in Scotland or saying, but even that is just an absence of high pressure, right? There is no such thing as the weather of raining. or always darkness of some kind. It's always a lack of something, and it's usually a lack of light. But then we wonder how come we're depressed or down all the time when we start off with an emotion of pessimism, or that, I'm beyond hope, or I really don't like anybody, anything. I think that, you have whatever uh, comments about the world, but then with that, it initiates this lower energy. And it's actually make it very particular. You could have a low energy, but it's very high intensity, right? You could have that. I mean, you look at anger, it's a low energy. But boy, when a person is angry, or when some people are angry, it's very intense. Same with being terrified. It's like fear. It's so bad, actually. The fear is like it's terror, absolute terror. So that's a low energy, is what spirit sees that, but it can be very intense. So it's not so much the intensity, it's just how much light does that emotion carry. It can't carry very much if it's in anger, shame, guilt, fear, that sort of thing. They're all low energies. And no matter how intense, you won't get any better. So the idea is to create something that we want. And that's when we create a porthole, we want to hopefully make sure that it is something that we want. When we create a something beautiful, like when you're meditating, or when you're using yoga in your house, you're exercising, you're trying to better yourself in some way. It can even be as simple as you want to teach yourself Spanish, or you want to teach yourself another language. And you said, well, for whatever reason, let's say it could be a lack of funds, or the lack of mobility, or whatever it is, I want to learn a certain language. So there's this need that, for whatever reason, maybe you're dating a person that is in that country, that you would like to know a little bit more about and communicate better with their family when you finally go to meet them. So you want to pick up a few phrases and a few words. So the need and the want is very high. You want to be able to understand something in that language, right? So it's very powerful when that space starts to feel that you want more and you want more. And that creates a portal also. So when we look at the room that a person is in, that's very important. A lot of times people will say, in a healing space, I hear this a lot in my sort of industry, where you're in a healing space, meaning that everybody that goes into that room, if it's a healing room, there might be a massage table in there, and maybe it's full of crystals. And everybody that goes in that has low energy, and they come out and it's a higher energy. So whether you do Reiki, or whether you do tuning forks like I do, or whether you have massage done, whatever it is that happens that heightens that vibration with anybody going in there, like a client, because the room knows it's you all the time, but then you're bringing somebody in there that you're heightening their vibration, right? And so in doing that, the room gets it that this is a healing room. And after a while, it just understands how the process goes. Somebody goes in, low energy, they're depressed, they're hurt, they're injured, any number of things. But then they come out, they're happier, the vibrations changed, and it's usually higher. Nobody will go in a bad mood and come out even worse. That on it's very I can't even think of an industry that would do that, or people would want that to happen. But when the room understands what you want and how the process works, the room has an intelligence. As we mentioned, the house has an intelligence. In feng shui, we look at the house as a very sacred space. It is an energy, and it has intelligence. Every room, every appliance, the floors, the walls, everything has a sense of intelligence. And when we realize that these four walls, wherever you're doing your healing space, or wherever you're making your, even at home, if you want to create, let's say, a yoga room, or a meditation room, or a space where you go there to heighten your vibration, after a while, the room understands that that is what happens. You go in, you do something, you connect to spirit or you connect to something, and you come out higher vibration. And that does create a portal or a sense of a portal where eventually in time you'll be able to get healing faster. You'll be able to connect to spirit faster. At one point, it took me almost a week. I'm going back many over a decade, almost 15 years, probably even more than that, when it would take me a week to get a message. Literally, I'd have a question and I'd use my pendulum or do different things, and I just couldn't get answers. So after a week, all of a sudden the answer came in. I said, "Oh, okay, there it is." But now I can do it in seconds because over the years we've built up rooms, and I built up spaces. I feng shuied the space so that the space understands this is what your purpose is, and it loves it. It loves doing that. It doesn't like a space where people get hurt. It doesn't like a space, and that is the truth. The house doesn't like anything that is hurting. This is why when there's domestic violence in a home, it's not very long after that the people move because the house just rejects them. Now, there are some cases where these people will stay in the home for 25 years. Absolutely. But that's because of choice, because no matter what the house does, it ends up always becoming the same where they don't move. They don't want to do anything. And they're just angry all the time. And it's really hard to overpower that or veto that. So the house just say, okay, whatever. In time, they will move, and then all of a sudden it wants a tender, loving family for a change. And that's when that comes in. But that matrix of energy still has to get cleared somehow. So, sometimes, oftentimes, where a house always sees the shades always drawn, and it's always dark, and there was always violence in there, or maybe there was drugs there, whatever it was, it always ended up with low vibration in the end. Doesn't matter what happened, it ended up being low vibration. And the house doesn't like that. It really doesn't. It actually decays faster. It actually attracts more bugs and rodents and raccoons and all kinds of other things because the house is also in that low vibration, and that's what it covers. It attracts more spiders. It attracts a lot of things, right? So when we look at heightening a room, oh, does the house love you? It really does. It really makes a point because portals can be set because of that, right? So in the space that you're in whatever space, maybe you might not have sort of a yoga room. Maybe you have a one-bedroom apartment, or it's a very small space and so many things happen in that space. Then as long as you go to the same space, it could be one corner of a kitchen nook or a special place where you feel comfortable. Maybe there's a little window seat, those ones that are next to a window, but there's a little platform where you could sit or put up a pillow or something, and you're looking outside, and you feel good because the sun's coming in, and for whatever reason you feel like this is a hot spot. We call that hot spots when you sit down to a place and all of a sudden just messages come very quickly. Yeah, or there are always places like that. So you'll be able to experiment where those hot spots are. And when you do, when you connect to spirit in that way, you get those mini portals, and that's how messages come down for you. If it takes longer, it's only because the portal was so small, it took a while for it to digest. But by keeping at it and keeping consistent, the portals do get bigger. Just need sort of your faith just to keep going and keep that sort of trust that things will get better. But one of the problems is that when we are looking for portals and you're in the same room as, let's say, there's arguments at the dinner table. Oh, I thought we were going to have spaghetti. I didn't think we were going to have pizza or something. And I was expecting one thing, got another, and there's an argument. So that's a low energy when there's arguments like that about anything. Maybe arguing about money. Money itself is a low energy without even the argument, right? As we know, because it's money itself, the energy of money is quite low. It's what we do with it that's the higher energy. But money in itself is a low energy. So when you argue about money, oh, we don't have enough money to pay the bills and that, and there's an argument, that brings the energy of the room down. No portal. You won't get, and if you try to meditate later in that room, it's going to be extremely difficult unless you know how to clear. You need to be trained how to clear a room, right? There's different ways to do that. But if you have that, or if you're doing your taxes in that room, my Lord, I can't think of a better way to lower your energy by doing taxes in the room. Or if you're always feeling lonely, like nobody loves me, or let's say you're single and you're in a room and you just don't, and if you're spending all your time sort of being lonely, and then you try to meditate, really difficult again. The room doesn't understand what you want to do. One time you have low energy, and next thing you want to go up. And so there's a confusion, there's a kind of a conflict, and the room doesn't get it. What is the purpose of this room? Because it wants to purpose it and make it so that it wants to raise too. It's an energy. It loves high energy. That's the way it is. So when we are doing that, there is no portal of light. So when we create a sacred space or a sacred corner or a sacred part of your living space, make it so the only time you go in that space is when you're meditating or when you're wanting to feel good. And when you get good news, you go in that space and send that energy up, and then you can create a portal. Now, when people will say, well, what if I have an open space? There's no real walls, anything. Like I don't have that, but I have the window seat, or I could put a chair next to a window. I kind of feel good there, but there's no walls. It doesn't matter. You don't need walls. Walls are to keep out humans. It doesn't keep out energy. In many cases in feng shui, when we say don't have a door, let's say you have a front door, and as soon as you come in the door, there's a mirror. Don't have a mirror facing the front door. But I says the door is closed usually. It doesn't matter. Energy goes through doors. Doors just will keep out humans in that perspective. So you don't need walls, or if you have absence walls, it's okay. Just create some form of a boundary, whether you use towels or whether, yeah, don't use things like salt and things like that, because then you're getting into earthbound energies, and that's a totally different story regarding different spells. And don't do the salt thing. Just mainly get a boundary that you can live with. And what I do with one of my tuning forks, it has a high vibration. It's 24,096. It's a clearing fork. And I'll tap this and I'll make an imaginary wall around the space that I'm in. Now, the way you can also do that, if you have a flashlight, and you can just say, okay, this light is coming from me. You could do that. And you could take the flashlight and make an imaginary wall around this area. And that's good enough. Okay. Because intention is everything. If you intend that light, wherever it hits, is a wall, and no energy from the dining room or anything open can get in there, then it won't. All right? Because you're using light. That's the highest thing. That's what I would highly recommend. All right? It takes a little bit of practice, but that's a good one. Yeah, that's it's a high vibration. Somebody just mentioned. I'll just give you a quick. Oh no, I won't. No, because yeah, okay, no, I won't tap the tuning forks there, because that'll be a different thing. But the other one is in your bedroom, because very few times people will go to bed angry. Now some do, but on the most part, people will have disagreements in the kitchen or other rooms. But when they go to bed, there's lovemaking and there's basically rest. And those are the two purposes for the bedroom. So that's usually a good place to meditate on that field, because those energies understand rest and connection and that kind of thing. So when we look at that area of creating that space, that's what where you want those portals to come. Portals is really what you want, because that's how messages will start to come through in a faster way. Just remember that your higher self is your mind up in this higher stratosphere, or in this high vibrational state. The lower part of ourselves, which is our brain, that is in charge of keeping track of your body. making sure you eat right, or making sure you exercise, making sure the muscles are going, attend a yoga class, or, all these things. That's what your brain is programmed to do, to take care of your body. Your brain has nothing to do with your spiritual self. That's why when we try to get people to connect, they're always trying to get their brain involved. And, I can't see myself on a beach, or I can't see the turtle in the water. It's okay. Just focus on your breathing and just sort of unhook or unswitch. Is that even a word? Non-switch, or don't switch on anything in your brain. When a person says, I think it didn't work, it didn't, because the thinking relates to brain. But when you feel something, I was getting this, that's different, you know? So your higher self is in charge of that spirit connection. And that's where that portal is connected to you. But here's the thing. When we trust our five senses, the see, touch, smell, all of that, hearing, we think that that's our experience on this earth, but it isn't. This earth is basically a construct. We've heard on several occasions where when we are on this earth, it's like a video game. It's not real. Well, what we are seeing and feeling is basically all the things that are happening based on what the higher self is projecting to us. But boy, when you apply the five senses that we have, it sure feels real, doesn't it? You feel pain, you feel the heat, you feel that you've been hurt, you feel that nobody might love you or whatever. All right. So the five senses makes it real for us. But know this, and the same thing was said on the movie Matrix, is that all of the senses are based on electrical impulses. The touch, that you touch your fingers, these are all signaling the brain that my fingers are touching. And if you smell something, it is again something in the nose and other areas of the brain that is saying, "Oh, I'm smelling pizza," or "I'm smelling something good," or "I'm smelling not something's burning." That's usually around our dinner table when the alarm goes off. We know supper's ready. That's just a joke. Um, but when you look at things like that as senses, we only have five of those. When we connect to spirit, we have over 30 more we can have access to. I kid you not, it's over 30, and it's expanding because this earth has been upgrading for the last 50, 60 years in a much accelerated rate, especially the last 10, because of various things happening on this planet. It's upgrading itself, and everyone is feeling it. The animals are feeling it, the birds are feeling it, the water, everything is changing, and we are changing. We made reference to something about a couple of weeks ago, that if you took somebody from the 17th century, like 400 years ago, okay, and we took that person in their state and put them in our reality, they would see us as glowing. There would be our eyes would be glowing out light, our ears, any opening at all would have, even our skin, we're exuding light. They're saying, what is going on with you? Because from 400 years ago or 300 years ago, we had a certain optical ability, and our energy was different 300 years ago. Now we don't see this because we're living in it, right? We don't see all these changes. But know this, compared to where our ancestors used to be, we are glowing. So over the last several hundred years, we have been upgrading constantly. And this is the real fix in why people are really evolving in a major way. But when you stretch it over a lifetime, it doesn't seem like a big deal, does it? But trust me, we're upgrading every single minute that we are on this planet, a little bit at a time. And we don't notice it because it's so infinitesimally small that we don't notice it. But you keep adding on, and over time, we start to become more of light than we are of matter. Okay? Now, the people that are resisting, they're going to have the hardest time. If people want to stay angry, they want to be unfaithful, they want to just create havoc, they're going to have the hardest time, because the earth isn't going to stop upgrading just because a few people are upset. But the light workers, the people that say, I really want this, they're going to have the best time because it's like a conveyor belt. Yes, I want to move. Well, put me on that. And if you looked at some of the conveyor belts at the airport, the conveyor belt, you could still walk like you're walking normally, but you're going 3 times as fast. Okay. So it's a little bit like, but we want to move. So we are happy to move. If a person does not want to move, what do? What do you think a person that doesn't want to move do on a conveyor belt? They turn around, try to walk the other way so that they're at the same speed all the time. But it's exhausting and it's maddening because why am I being forced to evolve? They don't like it. So they're resisting that, right? So this is part of the things. So when we are accessing those abilities that we have, then it's so much better, right? When we look through a pipe, when we look through you get one of those long pipes that you normally would get after the wrapping paper is all over. You get that cardboard tube and you look through it. Well, you see something on the other end, but you still know it's in the reality that you're in. So you see the end, but you see, okay, yeah, it's a tube, it's a pipe. But what would happen if you look through that and it's in a completely different dimension? That's what a portal is. A portal is a tube, a tunnel, a pipe that goes to a different dimension. So the question is, where's it going? And that's why there's so many questions about portals because we don't know. And even many of us don't know where it's going because each portal is different. We can't say, well, yes, it is going to either heaven and different other realities, but where? Can we say specifically where it's going? Like we know when we look at a telescope and we're facing Toronto, where I live, it would go south and I can see Toronto. If I leave that telescope at that, it'll always show Toronto. But that's not what happens when we have personal portals. It could go anywhere that you need to go, that you want to go, that you've been desiring to go. That is really the case in all of this. So when people are not feeling a lot of love for themselves, and the initial part of it is, I'm not enough. I'm lacking in all these things. How come other people can do all these things and I can't? I wasn't born in a fortunate family that had money. I wasn't born on the right side of the river, or I wasn't born with the right ethnic group, the color of my skin, whatever the belief is that of you are lacking in something, when you are creating that, the portal goes in a different place altogether. It's not that there's no portal, it's just that there's very few portals of light. Because when you initiate something through fear or you initiate something through a low energy, a portal is still created, but it might not be the one that you want that's going to encourage you that you can do something, you can do this. I mean, various people are here today because they feel they want to better themselves in some way by hearing what Spirit has to say that might have something to do with them. And even if I, as a vehicle, they're going through me, even if I only make the change in one person, and over the years, I've had many hundreds of people come to this class. But if I've only made one person change their life for the better, it's worth it. And I'm okay with that. So I'm not counting, I'm not doing any of that, but it's just that point where a portal that I can create for you that'll better your life will be good. And it's not something that I've done. It's something that I was asked to do, and I said, "Yeah, I'll do that. Let's do it as a partnership." So I take no credit for it. Spirit wants this, and I've only agreed. That's sort of where it's all going. But when people don't love themselves, this is really what happens is that they conclude that I'm not worth it. Most times when they do ask for, I really need a partner, I would like to have a date. I haven't had a date in like 10 years. That's when there's silence because the person that they had for you was the exact person you wanted, but you're launching it from a place of loneliness. You're launching it from a place of I'm not good enough. And it's like, okay, well, that's not the person we had in mind to be able to make this thought keep going, make this thought perpetuate, right? So there's silence. But on the other end, when a person receives no messages, oh, I thought so. I think there's no, the reason they didn't respond is because I'm not worth it. Not exactly the accurate conclusion that Spirit thought you would make. But when we get silence from a really important question, send me someone I could love rather than send me someone I could love. There's a difference. When you say, I want to send, I want you to send me someone that will love me, or send me someone that needs love. It even sounds different, doesn't it? It sounds like you want to give rather than I need love. I need someone that can love me because I don't have enough for myself. Spirit will not send anybody. It'll be the other energies that'll send somebody that'll perpetuate that particular thing. All right. One thing I want to mention just before we get into the meditation was, and this is a big one, when we talk about being intimate, when we talk about the sex acts and so on, this is a huge portal that is usually set up between two people, and when both are connected, I'm going to give you the optimal part of it, and then from there we'll talk about the other stuff. But when two people are connected, they both know themselves, they both love themselves. When they get together in a sexual act, then there is this incredible portal that comes up, and it's usually orange. That's one of the reasons why the Spirit chose orange today, because it's all about creation. It's all about having something that was nothing there a moment ago, and now you've created this incredible bond. It's incredible when the souls start to blend in that sexual act, and when it's really done with patience and love, and you want to be able to give and receive through that act, it's just incredible. When there is a climax between both people, especially when it's done at the same time, then there's this euphoria for both. But in that euphoria, there is the opportunity where this portal becomes so large that you can then talk about, we would really love a home. We would really love whatever you want. And let's say there's two people that have the same desire. Let's get a home for our family, or let's do this one project. Let's get this event. They both have the same desire, and they both whisper it at roughly the same time. Then that's an incredible echo to Spirit. That portal is so, so important. The afterglow, as they call it, that's when right after the climax, when we're still in that state. You want to stay in that state for as long as you can, because that will go through every organ in your body. If something isn't working very well, like your gallbladder's a little off or your adrenals are tired, that's when you want to stay in that state as long as you can. However, Spirit says most people, they can't say with everybody, but most people just simply will go to sleep. Oh, that was great. Okay, and then they just fall asleep, and they get out of that state very quickly when sleeping is in order. But the reason you're tired is because that energy, that healing energy, is already starting to go through your body, and it's pulling out toxins, and it's tiring. It's a lot of work for the body. So all Spirit is suggesting that the next time that happens, stay in that state and just stay awake and let your body heal whatever is supposed to happen. It knows what to do. You just need to sort of stick around a little bit. All right. When that happens, it is so connecting, and Spirit sees that you're understanding this process. And so other messages will start coming easier because this portal is massive at that point. It's the biggest it's ever going to be in your life. So you want to sort of bathe in that a little bit. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. In this meditation, we're going to be talking about, or it's going to be going through the sacral energies. And it is connecting to your inner child and all of that, because that's where the orange is. So a lot of the things that we've gone through as children still keeps coming up. All right. So we're gonna play that. And what I want you to do is simply think of something that is happy for you, whatever it is. and just try and stay in that state when it's something that happened to you. Maybe you got this dream job that you've always wanted, or you got something that happened to you that was just glorious, and it just made you feel so happy for many days. Right? Think of something really happy. Launch something that is something that you want that will be really amazing once it creates itself. If you're looking for a house, there must have been a point where you were happy doing something. Of course, the ultimate is if you can envision being in this altered state right after climax, and you could stay. It's really hard to recreate that because a lot of it is physical at that point because you're doing self healing. But come to some kind of a state where you're in a heightened level of energy and try and stay there. So whether you like being on the beach and envision yourself being there, you like being near water, or you like being, let's say, in the woods, or let's say you love the mountains, like the height and the vastness and so on. Try and get on the mountains and just watch it. And don't say anything. Just be in a total state of awe. Okay? And as the video keeps going, there'll be tuning forks in the background that will help you stay there. And then let's see what portal comes up when you ask a question like, what do I need to know today? This should be very, very general today. Wherever you are in your life, something is going on. And you can just simply ask, what do I need to know today? Let's see what we come up with, okay? We got about 15 minutes or so, so let's have some fun, all right? Take a deep breath. Pretend you're breathing in this orange energy. Breathe in orange and then breathe out orange. And or maybe you can be on an orange beach because it's in your imagination. You can make the sand any color you want. You know, you're actually on orange sand or wherever it is, near an orange orchard, or just be someplace where you are really happy. Okay? Let's see what comes to you. Take a deep breath, and we'll see you in about 14 or 15 minutes. If you're lying on a sofa or if you're on a yoga mat on the floor, just get yourself comfortable where you can sit or lie down or just be in receiving mode for about 20 minutes. Remember, color breathing with the orange and white. And then at one point, when you feel comfortable, when you feel on, I want you to look at this picture of this little girl or this little boy and start to connect to it. Some of the questions we've already listed. How are you doing? And so on. All right? You can keep your eyes open if you wish. If you can look at your picture, then close your eyes if that's easier for you. The whole idea is you want to connect to this particular individual. Because believe it or not, although it's you, it's still a different person. Because you are not like that. And so there's a vast difference in the energy. In fact, Spirit says there's a vast difference in your energy a week ago or a day ago. You are reinventing yourself every day. So all we're doing in human years is going back to your childhood, which is really the same as last week. Take a nice deep breath and just pretend that the only thing in the room is your lungs. And just start to breathe. Everyday energy, your street energy, just to calm everything down. And start to visualize from the top of your head right on down. Relax the scalp, relax your cheeks, and just start to go through as if water's coming down on the inside of your body. Your tongue is relaxed, your cheeks are, the throat, the shoulders. Just get your shoulders just sort of hanging down. We keep the whole world on our shoulders. Relax them and just pretend there's water going on the inside of your arms right to the end of your fingertips, and put little openings on the end of your fingertips so water can come out. So anything that's in there can just cleanse. And as your arms start filling up with water, then it starts spilling into your chest area. It starts running down your chest, to your stomach, all of your internal organs, kidneys, liver, spleen, gallbladder, adrenals, all those organs in the inside. Goes around your hips, all that whole area that we're working on, down your leg, your knees, your calf, right down to your feet. And I want you to put little openings, but the size of a hockey puck, on the palm part of your feet. That's between your ball of your foot and your heel. So there's a nice opening there. So you're not a bottle, you're a straw. Things are just going right through you. It's very important that whatever childhood things you've gone through, you want to talk to this child. And as it starts breaking off, we got to make it go somewhere. We don't want that trapped inside your system. Okay, that's why everything's open. In your next breath in, and when you breathe out, I want you to breathe out with your nose. And just pretend you're like a balloon, just all that air coming out. Just take your time. Do it a couple of times so that you really feel that nice, calm energy. And I can feel the picture of this little boy or little girl is so excited that you're about to visit it. It's just, I can't even describe it. It's like they're cheering. I can't wait for you guys to connect. I'm looking forward to seeing how this works out for you. Just keep breathing in and breathe out. Make it look easy, because it is. As children, that's all we did, was run and play, and breathing wasn't even thought of, because it was so easy. We didn't have nearly the same things we're holding in as we do now. We're going to set an intention. Okay, breathe in. May the power of this tuning give the souls that have connected to us a higher vibration than they're presently going through. And anything that does shift, alter, or change, make it as easy and as effortless as it can be, and spread the effects over the next couple of days for us so the impact isn't so strong. We're shifting every day, so this will give us the right amount of time for us to do what we need to do. Anything that I need to help these souls would be greatly appreciated. Collectively, we're all doing this together. Big, deep breath in, and just let that air out. Every breath you take, it will seem easier. Your lungs are more relaxed. The tension around your heart and your rib cage is starting to relax. Breathing will just seem a little easier. Slowly come out of the state that you're in. Try and remember what you saw, what you felt. Take a deep breath. What messages did you get? What response did you get? Perfect. One thing I wanted to mention is that when we create a portal from love or whatever energy that is done, the biggest journey that we are doing at that time is we are looking within. That is what actually creates that portal. Now, Spirit wanted to sort of highlight this because when we think that we are just making it and outside of us the portal arrives, that's not exactly the way it works. During the meditation, I was getting that some are sort of seeing that is that if I'm just happy, then this portal will appear. But really, it's an inner journey. So when people say, I don't know if I want to look into myself, it's sort of a rabbit hole, it's a cave, it's sort of a dark place. It is that journey that we go to intentionally to get to the light inside of us. When we recognize it and we see it and we start working on ourselves, that's what actually creates that portal. So, yes, it is the outside being happy and all of that, but you've got to be able to feel it inside. And the way to do that is to the inner work. That's the biggest thing. It's scary at first, especially for those that have a very difficult childhood. We have to get through all of those filters and all of the things that we used to believe, that we used to stay quiet if we were called a troubled child, as they called it. Some people were were just not very patient with children in the days. And a lot of them had this image that they're a bother, or and then we grow up like that, as we don't want to impose on anybody, and so we don't really do anything. So we've got to get past that filter and be able to say, I do have a voice now. Whatever happened happened, and I'm in a different place now, and I'm with different people. The people that actually created that discord in your body is probably not around. If it was your grandfather, he's probably long past. If it was your parents, maybe they're in a home, they're not really doing anything else. So there's a lot of sort of soul searching in that way, but we do it inside. And when we feel that happiness and that inner worth, then that portal comes up. So it sort of has to go through you and then it comes out. And then those messages are more going to be heard. Because without that work, then the messages come, but we don't hear it. We don't see it. We don't feel it. And then what else is there left to do? We're in this dimension anyway. The planet is doing what it can to upgrade our energies as we go, that we are barely noticing, but we are being upgraded each time, each minute anyway, but in a very small way, as we mentioned. But hopefully, in that, we're seeing that there's more to you than what you see in your body. There's more. It's just what we see. Your body is the extension of everything else. It's like a wave. When you look at a wave, especially the ones in Hawaii on North Shore, you can see that this huge wave comes up at the very top where it starts to curl and turn white, right? That's you. That little portion at the very top is you. Then this whole power is non-physical. It's all your ancestors, is all the things you're working on. So you are a very actually small part of you. It's just what we can see, but there is so much more of you. There's so much more. This momentum that you have. That's where it's coming from. As well, when you are looking for confirmation, we usually do that in the beginning part of our energy work. And then when you're just starting, like Energy 101, when we are looking for a message and then we want to get confirmation, Spirit is all over that. They'll always give you, yep, this is what you need to do. Once you start getting more advanced, you're at like in grade, you're in high school. And it would be just like saying, I know the ABCs, but I just want to confirm that I have it right. You're not going to get an answer because it's so beneath you. The confirmation is beneath you. In other words, if you get a clear answer that this is what I need to do, that should be enough to keep going. And if you're not
Yeah.
getting an answer, that is also confirmation that you're on the right track. Like if they're saying, okay, I want you to head south, and you're going to say, okay, no problem, north it is. I'm going north. Then you're going to get all kinds of confirmation you're going in the wrong direction. Okay, all kinds. Like there'll be delays. You can't find your car keys. You're gonna. It's so obvious. It's sort of humorous. But when you're in the right direction, everything clicks. Boom, 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 boom. Um, to get confirmation at your level, going in the right direction, she's following exactly what she needs to do. So why are we confirming? Because we're because if they keep confirming, and if the people have to tell you, let's say, go back to the high school example, I want to make sure that I have the ABCs right, ABC, and then you tell them, yep, that's it. And then you go to university, yep, that's like, where does it stop? In other words, we want you to write a book. We want you to write, and you won't be able to do it if you're still asking questions as you did in grade 1 or 2, sort of thing. We're not trying to get away from the question, but they're more respecting your vibration and your level of your abilities. Your abilities are quite high, so the
Yes.
contract may not be there. If
Okay.
but the fact that you're asking still shows that there might be some doubt because you're looking at the environment, that everything is very volatile. There's always things going on like around you physically. And so there's many things at stake, and you want to make sure that, okay, am I doing the right thing? So just unplug from that reality and just
Okay.
plug in your energy. What do you feel? What is the first thing that comes to you? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting the same thing. So when you unplug from the drama and all the discord in the world, isn't that so much easier? Take care, guys, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you, Tony. Have a nice
Okay.
weekend.
Love you all.
You
Okay,
too.
bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.